Hi, everyone. It's Andrea Quagenti. Welcome to another self-directed education group call. Yay. I'm here with my co-host, Angela Young, and we have a guest, Alyssa, today. Welcome, everyone. Hi.
Hi, welcome back.
Yeah, we're just kind of getting caught up a little bit. Just saying hello. We'll be on the call for about an hour, and if anyone else joins, we'll chat with them. So Angela and I didn't really have any specific topics, so we were just asking Alyssa if she wanted to ask some questions, and then we can get into some unschooling / self-directed education meat.
I guess today was my son's evaluation. So this was our second year having an evaluator. Last year we had the same evaluator, and she's says that she's unschool friendly, and that's why we chose her and everything. And I went to the self-directed education thing that they had in January, which was where I met Andrea. And I really learned a lot about that and about like how it's supposed to be child-centered and directed by them and things like that. And I guess I left the evaluation today really kind of confused, but like I don't know. We just had a rough year in general as far as like our family, and she knows that, and she was just trying to say that like she wants him to be more responsible for like taking pictures and like showing her stuff. And because I usually I just keep everything on my phone, and then we send in pictures and samples and stuff like that to her, and she doesn't require a whole lot. But I just left with her like feeling like she wanted him to be like kind of responsible for his reporting to her. And I don't know how to do that. I mean, she said he can bring his like iPod with him and show her things from his iPod, but not everything is going to be there. I still record things and stuff like that. So yeah, I just didn't know like if you had any input about that.
Okay, so I do, that was awesome. The Alliance for Self-Directed Education weekend. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I do remember now. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that was awesome. I loved that. So remind me, where are you? Because where I am in Mass, we don't have an evaluator.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
in
so
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. So
Mm-hmm.
just so I'm caught up, and just like for anyone listening, so is it a requirement in Pennsylvania?
Yeah. If you homeschool, you have to do an affidavit every year by June 30th. You have to send in the printout from your evaluator. This year he had to do third grade testing. Um, and it doesn't really even mean anything, which I don't understand why we do it. It's just she says they have to do it, so that's what we do. And it's untimed, so it's at his own pace and everything. But yeah, so we have to send in the evaluator summary, and if they did testing, you have to send in the results. And then you also send in your goals and everything for the following year, which is your affidavit and your goals, and just if you have medical or anything like that requirements, they'll put that in there. Some people do, some people don't. It's kind of um, it's flexible within Pennsylvania, but so yeah, so we're supposed to have an evaluation once a year um, by an evaluator, and it varies depending on what kind of homeschooler you are, whether you're from unschooler all the way to schooling at home. You can find an evaluator that's that can identify with whatever your needs are, I guess. And so yeah, so that's what the Pennsylvania requirements are. So then her evaluation goes into the school district.
Interesting. Okay. This is kind of news for me. I mean, I'm sure we can talk through it. Angela, do you have any idea on this?
You know what? I actually am not familiar with the evaluator process, but I do have questions about that. And that would be like, what is the purpose of the evaluation? Is it to like decide whether you're doing a good enough job unschooling, basically? Okay.
Yeah.
And also
And to
in
show
that-
progress. You're supposed to be
Interesting.
showing progress. Yeah.
Okay. And then what did you listen in on that evaluator meeting? Like, what did they ask?
Well, last year she had started out the interview as, did we do everything with joy and fun and, interest and things like that. So I took that as this following year as trying to do more of that, like things that interest him, and things like that. And so, he's 9, he just turned 9, so he was 8 for most of the year. Technically 3rd grade, I guess, but I don't consider him that. And so we're more still, like living and playing, and he does his games and has his friends and stuff like that. And we had been doing a co-op, but he lost interest in that, so we didn't end up going. We did like field trips and stuff with him, but that was it. And then like this time she just asked like, what kind of books were you reading? What how did she say it? Did you learn about any animals? Did you learn about any plants? Did you learn about any things like that? Like that was her questioning this time. So she was just asking, things like that.
Okay. Yeah. By the way, my headphones are malfunctioning. I've ended up taking them out. So I apologize if there's like wind background on this, but awesome. So yeah, it sounds like, so this might be like a dumb question, but what happens if like you failed testing and you got a horrible evaluation from your evaluator?
So this is basically what she said was, she said to my son, if you don't start telling me things that you're doing, you're going to have to go to school an extra year. I'm going to have to tell the school that you're not doing well, and you're going to be held back a year. Do you want me to do that? And she said
this
that
in
to
the
him.
meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but it wasn't because I wasn't telling her, it was because he wasn't telling her the things, and she wanted specifically from him.
Okay, so it sounds like perhaps that was a tool that she was using to sort of coax him into being more verbal about what he's actually been doing. Like maybe she is on his side and she's like, hey, just give me some information here so I can give a good report. Did it have that vibe?
I mean, I guess because she had plenty written down, you know what I mean? But she had asked him questions, and he would either say, I don't know, or he would say yes or no, and he wouldn't really elaborate, but he would talk about things that he was interested in, you know what I mean? So like, she knew he had done these things, but he wasn't specifically telling her. Like she knew that he learned about animals because she's the one that did the zoo field trip that we did, and she saw he was there, and and I could have told her things, but she wanted to hear it from him.
Got you. Okay, so in this situation, it sounds like these are just the parameters of the system that you're working with. And I mean, in situations like that, there's typically like two options: either like change, which would be like change location, or figure out how to exist in a way that works for you within those parameters. And if she's wanting to hear it from his mouth, if that's something that's going to be a recurring yearly thing, then perhaps it's just looking into getting prepared for that yearly evaluation thing, like having, more or less knowing what you're going to be saying when you do that. Like, okay, what have we done this year? Let's really make it sound good type of a situation.
I guess I'm just like disappointed just because I didn't feel like this was what she was going to do. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that we were supposed to like the both of us, because it's me and him doing the things together to tell her like what we do and, you know, stuff like that. So I don't know.
Maybe
Yeah.
find out more about the evaluation. Like from if you have a homeschool group in your state, and just like ask other unschoolers, like who do you use? What are they looking for? Like, what do they actually need? You know, I think with things like that, it's like, because it sounds like last year it was different. What she was looking for was different from this year. So I would just suggest, you know, try to get an insider, you know, someone, maybe someone
Yeah.
with older kids. And, you know, if that was just so you know, and I think what Angela said, I mean, you know, just then once you know what they need or what they're looking for, and you know that she's coming on this day, like literally a couple hours before, the day before, and say, okay, she's going to be here. Obviously, we still love homeschooling. We still love unschooling. We want to keep doing this. We want the review to go good. So she's going to ask you blah, blah, blah. And let's even pretend that I'm the, you know, it's
Yeah.
just, I
Yeah.
mean, I think with things like that, it's just really like, what do I need? Because as long as, I mean, I think what's most important, if you're taking on the responsibility of being the educator, as long as you feel in your heart, your soul, in life, like, you know what, this child's doing great. He's learning at his own pace. We're happy, we're healthy, we're balanced. You know, if you've got that inner feeling of yes, and he likes it too, then I would just do, you know, I would just try to get to what they want and just prep him for that. Because that's really what unschooling, and I have another topic, but we can finish this one first. That's really what unschooling is really about, real life, you know? So in real life, if you're going to go take an SAT, then you prep for the SAT, you know? Do you need to go to a traditional school for 10 years to take an SAT? No, you don't. You know, you can just go take an SAT prep course. So it's not like we're cheating the system, or it's not like we're, someone said this to me when I was camping, cutting the line or moving ahead. We're just being honest with what the requirements are, what we need to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree so much. And what was coming to my head as well is that, so my kids go to like an unschooling school, a Sudbury school, and there are so many requirements that they have to abide by to be in that school. Like, unschooling doesn't necessarily mean that there's never going to be requirements. And they've had to figure out like how to, yeah, like navigate those, you know, like having to go to school meeting and civics board, and sometimes advocate for yourself if someone, you know, you want to move, like change a rule or whatever. And all of those things definitely took learning. And it just brings to mind your situation a little bit, because yeah, maybe this is one of the relevant learnings for your son, like how to figure out yeah, how to explain like how he's learning to this evaluator, you know?
And
I
it
mean,
might actually, like, you could probably also kind of use it as a tool to help build his confidence. You know, where, because you can tell the child, like, we're learning lots and this is great, but for him to own that and feel it, and to have that once a year, well, someone else is going to come in, and we, instead of making it like we have to, we get to tell this person what you're excited about and what you're loving. And, you know, did he love that animal trip? And, you know, is he, what, you know, whatever it is that he is loving, like, I'm just thinking, because we went to the aquarium last week, you know, and I know my daughter loved it, and I'm sure she could rattle, you know, she could say, we learned, you know, she would just be so excited to talk about it because she's excited about it. So I think it's all about just kind of, but I would find out more. I would kind of, are you in some of the homeschool groups in Pennsylvania, like the Facebook groups?
Yeah.
Are they usually pretty informative about like the process?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great lesson for him, and he's probably learning a lot more, because, you know, just about anything you do is going to have a process, right? And you're just like, okay, we want to get from A, you know, we want you to, um, we want the school system to be, to have what they need so we can continue to unschool, and here's the process, and here's what we need to do, and let's do it. You know, this is part of, because everything has a process, so that's very unschoolish, that's very real life-ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you're not feeling that person, because do you have to pay for it?
She goes by like donations. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You know, if you don't feel like you click with that particular person, maybe you could change to a different person, or just learn her style and you know, stick with her.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I'm just kind of wondering, because I feel like she also kind of leads the co-op that we were going to. And I kind of feel like it's turned into more like schoolish there too. With like requiring the kids to like do like certain things where before it was just like, you know, more fun and I don't know, not so competitive, I guess, because they're asking to perform and like do like a science fair and she's giving out prizes and I get that, you know, she wants to reward their work and stuff like that, but I don't know if it's just maybe that's what it is that I'm just not um progressing in her same direction, I guess, as you know, if her requirements are changing and that's not what because I've known her for about 4 years now and it's kind of evolved, I think. And I know the pandemic had something to do with that too, but um so yeah, so maybe it is like a just a conflict of her changes and my beliefs or whatever. So yeah, I'll look into the groups around here a little more and see.
Yeah, do you consider, do you, are you loving the kind of self-directed unschooling? Are you feeling comfortable and confident and happy with that?
No, not really. It's a struggle to find like the something that he's interested in other than like um Roblox and um electronics and you know like finding a happy medium with that and trying to balance because I'm a single mom too and I work and um you know just trying to find all that balance. It's been like that's what I mean, this year has been more stressful than anything, so um so then to have this you know this evaluation that it's like you know she wants him to do this you know talk more and all this kind of stuff and I don't know, it's just a lot, I guess.
I hear you. I wonder if, Angela, if you want to talk about the Roblox stuff. That's
Oh,
my daughter's favorite game. She's 8, she's turning 9 this summer, so.
Oh, okay. So you know.
oh yeah, my kids are on Roblox all the time. You know what? In our, I've experimented with this, and I don't think there is one right answer to that. Like recurring question that always comes up from parents about electronics. But I know that in our family, I really like just let go of the reins for the most part, and then experimented with how that played out. And it did turn into like a lot of electronic use and then a lot of rules being created from the kids about electronics, like how long you can be on it and sharing and stuff like that. And then eventually it became apparent to my partner and I that we wanted to introduce some of our rules too. Like, hey, I think that as a family, we value connection and we value each other. We just want to like hang out sometimes without the interference of electronics. And
Yeah.
through discussion about that, the kids were like, of course, like that's something they're like, yes, I feel that same way. I want to be a family with you. So we ended up pretty copacetically being able to come up with some boundaries, like, hey, for a while they looked like between this time and this time we're going to put the electronics down. At another time it was like during mealtime, just whatever works for the family. You know, there's so many things that you could do. Then now the page that we're on now, after that, we realized that we value many things, not just connecting as a family. We also value physical activity. We value spirituality. And we are starting to put it using the same practice that I just mentioned. Like we're starting to put agreed upon boundaries around that, or agreed upon like fun planned things, basically. And what I'm experimenting with now is we try to do it weekly, but honestly, because it's new, I have forgotten a couple times. But we're trying to do like an intention thing where in the beginning of the day, it's like, hey, so let's sit down and have an intention meeting and see what are our big goals? Like, what do we want to achieve in like a month or like a year? But what are our small goals? What do we want to get done this week? What do we want to get done today? And then we sort of look at that and plan for it, like not just talk about it, but like put it on the schedule. Like, okay, we're going to have a meeting, my husband and I, about his business on Saturday to go over this thing. But with the kids, it's like, I'm going to actually meet with Jasmine at 3:30 this afternoon to figure out how to braid hair with her Barbie dolls. Like we treat it like it's like we're making this stuff happen. And then we also schedule our exercise. So it's like, oh, we're going to the trampoline park on Wednesday and Friday at 4:00 after school. That sort of thing. On Sunday, we're going to go to the local spiritual center and we're going to check out their service and see if it's something that we like as a family. So that's been working. That's been adding some real structure. But I want to reiterate that came from no structure. That came from total freedom. And we needed that. We needed to go through that and just like take it all down and have the kids experience what it felt like to take it all down and then to rebuild it all back up together as a family. So the reason why I say that is because this might not work. Like immediately going into structure might not work for you or for anyone listening for right away. Like it might be the time to just let it all go, you know? I don't know. Just, yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe that's my thing about like homeschooling is like I like the freedom of it. So like, because I'm already scheduled on all these things that I have to do, and then to have to schedule him in is just like, do I really want to do that? But I mean, I think he actually likes when he knows, okay, this is what I'm doing at this time. Because we have pulled back on the unlimited electronics and stuff like that. He actually took an extra week off and said, I'll get it back, this day. And so we've kind of limited it a lot more than what it was before. Cause I did the same thing. I did the unlimited and no structure and, cause they said eventually they would limit themselves and, regulate themselves with it. And that was not happening. It was just getting worse and worse. And, it was affecting his sleep and his attitudes and his eating. Even his eating habits were affected by it. Like he wouldn't eat until, late at night and stuff like that. And so, that's when we decided to start cutting things back. And so the way it's working now is actually really good. I've noticed a big change in him, and I think he's happier, and he knows he can predict, and he knows what time he gets it, and he'll be more willing to do other things before that. And so, I think like what you said about just adding things here, little by little and building on it would be beneficial.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just thinking, just for us, so it's me and my daughter. I'm a single mom as well. And I'm not working. I have like projects that I work on, but there's no set time. So we're pretty free. But what I did just, even just going into, we went from being in a private Montessori school. So she was there from like 8:30 to 3 Monday through Friday. And then I was like, okay, if we're going to do homeschooling, we need like some, I don't know if I call them like rules or boundaries or agreements. I like the word agreement. So if you're like, okay, let's make some agreements, it sounds much more like, I think the child feels empowered with an agreement, because then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, I'm curious, like, what do you like, how much time do you think you want? So what we ended up doing is, and I always like listen to what she wants, because I'm like, that's why we're doing this. Like, we're homeschooling, we're unschooling, so we have tons of freedom. But within that freedom, we want to be happy. I want to be happy, and you want to be happy. So we ended up agreeing to just like what our family, and when it's our family, it's me and her, and if you count the cat, but still, I do consider us a family and a unit. And we do want to make sure the cat's taken care of and we're taken care of. So we did agree on, mealtime is going to be together, where we can talk and enjoy, so neither of us, and obviously modeling the similar behavior. Of course, if you're on call or you're like working, but you can still be with him, then that's a little bit different. But, for, if you can, just model, okay, we're not going to do electronics. Well, whatever you prefer. For me, I prefer eating mindfully. And, it's important that we get out and do things. So what we do now that we're back at home, we have park days every Wednesday and Friday, and we both love them. It's exercise, it's fun, it's community. So that's kind of, we both agree that we both love those. So she doesn't bring she has a phone. She doesn't bring that in the car. She doesn't bring it to play dates. That's something that she does. And then usually it's like, okay, we just got home, we put the groceries away. I just usually say, you have free time, do whatever you want. And like every single 100% of the time, she goes right to her phone. And great, that's just what I call it now, is like free time. But if she's helping me with groceries or cooking, or then that's like family time, or time when we take care of ourselves, take care of our bodies, take care of our home. Those are what we agreed were important. Time with friends, time with family. She loves playing. She loves, she'll call it IRL. So she loves having play dates in real life rather than just, so, and that's what I do every now and then. I just check in with her, and I'm like, what do you want? What's working? Do you still like this? What do you want more of? And sometimes she does want more phone time. And then I'll say, okay, well then, how can we make that work? Well, like I usually, what's important to me, that we have like nice, healthy dinners, and we sit, and we have time to talk and eat. And, sometimes if something will just come to my mind, like, well, what if you can help me with the dishes, we get everything put away, then you'll have more time at night, or something like that. And usually she's like, okay. And like you said, like, once, it's not like, I don't really look at it as like a reward or punishment. It just is what it is. It's like a natural consequence. If we get through the house stuff together, the faster we do it, the easier. Let's just bang that out, and then you've got and I get my free time too. I can go, do whatever chat with my friends or work on my blog, or but that's real life, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes she'll say like, oh, why do we have to do laundry, and why do we have to, why can't we just have a chef? And I'm like, well, maybe, let's just do it, and then you can have free time. And usually she's pretty cooperative. And
Mm-hmm.
she's usually just like, okay, like, and then we just do it. We do it fast. We try to keep our spirits up and not, go into like complaining mode. But if she does, I just kind of say, yeah, you're right, but let's just get through it. And then you've got your free time. And usually she's happy. Okay, is it done? Everything's done. Okay. She's gone. And I'm like, I'm satisfied. She's satisfied. It's just kind of breaking up a little bit. So is that, do you kind of feel like you're there now where do you think he understands the agreements and what makes, what he wants and what you want, and you can kind of, mold it together into your days?
Well, I think we're at a point where, and that's what I struggle with too, is like I don't want it to be punishments and rewards. I want it to be us collaborating because it just needs done, like you just got to clean up after yourself. You just have to you have to do things.
Right.
And so I don't want him to do things because he thinks he's going to get more time or whatever on his electronics. I just want him to help me or clean up, do whatever it is. And then, okay, yeah, we can do this or whatever. And but that makes more sense if you call it agreements, because he's taking responsibility in it too. And it's something that he also wants and understands the purpose of it, I guess, too. So yeah, I like that. I think he's at that point where we could, talk about that and move to that level.
Yeah, I try not to be like too public schooly and be like, we have to do our work, and once our work is done, we can go play. It is pretty much what we do, to be quite honest, but I don't phrase it like that because it's more the lifestyle that we choose. We don't have to clean our house, we don't have to do laundry, we don't even have to cook, but I like clean clothes. I like my house to be clean, especially with camping, and then there's bugs, and she's like, oh my God, and I say, well, this is part of the reason why I really like to keep things clean, because if it's not, we could, and then she's like, oh, she gets it. So I think it but again, I guess, I don't know, Angela, you could probably explain a little bit different. It's not exactly reward, punishment, or, you have to do your work, then you can play. It's just, maybe that's it. Instead, it's just, well, we both agree that we want clean, we want to take care of our bodies. We want to take care of our minds. We've agreed, we've agreed that we want our house to feel, safe and comfortable and clean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And in my household too, we have like some pretty general guidelines. Like in the morning, it's pretty basic, but my kids like have to make their little bed area and make sure that none of their toys are left out from the night before, dirty laundry on the floor. And they need to brush their teeth. It's pretty basic stuff before they just hop on electronics. I think nowadays we just live in an era where there's been this thing that's invented that is really attention grabbing, called electronics. And so it's like, I don't know if it was the same way the generation prior, where like the little things weren't as obvious, like, hey, I think you should probably brush your teeth. Maybe it's always been that way, but it seems like electronics are really easy to just like hop right on and like forget all about the physical world around you. But I want to add that, again, there isn't just one right way to do things. Like that's how I do it. And anytime that a child is protesting, I try not to fall back to rewards and punishment. It's more like Andrea was saying, it's like a moment of conversation where it's like the other day, my daughter was like, why do we have to do laundry? I don't want to do my laundry. And I was like, same thing that Andrea said. I was like, well, we actually don't have to do laundry. We could just stop washing it, and then we have no clothes to wear and we can go naked to school. How do you like that idea? And it was just like, oh, grabs the laundry and goes upstairs and does it. like
Yay.
Yeah.
It reminds me, in conscious parenting, I heard, one of the big phrases was a natural consequence. So it's not that you're going to get punished or like, go to hell or whatever, those threats were, but it's just like, oh, okay, well, let's actually play that out. And I remember on conscious parenting, there was an example of a child that didn't want to shut the lights out and wanted to keep them on, but obviously if you keep the lights on all the time, the light bulbs are gonna blow out, right? So what the mom did after the child left them on was, I think she just untwisted them and said, oh, now the light bulbs went out because we kept them on so much, or something that was more of a natural consequence. And then the child was so scared of the dark, never left the light on again. So instead of like, I'm going to threaten you with no more playtime, or, or I'm gonna use this, if you help me with laundry, you get 2 cookies. That was my my motivation as a kid. But instead it's like, yeah, we like to live this way. We like clothes. We like to have the lights. And so if you, that's what I usually go to if there is some type of protest or questioning, then it's like, okay, well, now I'm curious. Well, what would actually happen? Like, does he protest some stuff? Like maybe if it's food, like, what do you mean? Why do I even have to eat? Then like, okay, well, what actually happens when we don't eat? And then actually, what really does happen?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes when they just, something like will click with them and they're like, oh, well, I don't want to be hangry. Like, I don't want to get an upset stomach. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this whole like choosing these types of boundaries or agreements feel right to me right now. But I have also met families who have different ways of doing things, and I don't think that they're wrong. Like in terms of the parents actually might do even more, like pick up the toys for the child or fold the kids' laundry and put it away, and they're happy to do it. And they're like, you know what, I had kids and I decided to have kids, and I'm happy to do their laundry. I'm happy to pick up their toys. And I think the child may still have the same result when they're an adult. I think they still may one day realize that they love doing laundry and love cleaning their room because they saw their parent happily do it. I don't think it necessarily is going to mean that your child grows up and is completely incapable. It's just choosing what works for you right now. And those things can always shift and always change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Andrea, did you say you had a topic you wanted to talk about?
well, I was just thinking like further down the road. I know all of us have, children on the younger side, but while we were camping, we were on our way home. Um, we did a boondocking night, so we were just in like a parking lot that accepts RV overnighters, and we ran into these 2 older women with older children, and they were just asking kind of about unschooling. And it was about SATs. That's why I kind of brought that up. And so I was just wondering, what you all thought. Let's say your child, my child, a child continues to go to a self-directed education school or unschooling. And then let's say they're getting to their teens and they're like, I want to go to college. Do they have to take the SATs to get into any college in the US?
So I don't know specific colleges, but I know that at least in California, because I'm in California, they have dramatically stopped testing. I think it was considered non-equitous. So one of the major ones a few years ago announced that they were no longer testing, and then other ones followed suit, which is amazing news for unschoolers.
That's what I had heard too, that they were trying to get rid of those tests because, of what you had said, it was unequal. And as far as Pennsylvania, I think it depends on the school too. And I don't know, my daughter, she's 24 and she went to a state university, and when we were in school, it was just an automatic thing that you did. They didn't really explain that it wasn't, you couldn't, you shouldn't, or you didn't have to take it. They just said everybody took it. And so she just automatically took it too. And you do send that to the college. I never sent mine because my college didn't require it, but hers, they did take it, but I don't know that it was a requirement. So I think it depends on the school in Pennsylvania anyway.
Okay, because I was just, it's like I get these questions and I don't have all the answers, which is, part of the reason that Angela and I and some other parents were like, let's just make a group, like a Facebook group, a place where we can talk about this and, build community. Yeah, so okay. So I wasn't sure about that because what I usually say is that depending on what so it's more like real life, depending on the route that the child wants to take, you just back into it. You find out, well, what does that school require, what does that education require, and then you start checking those boxes, rather than like the way I was raised was like, you have to get good grades and you have to take the SATs so you can get into college, so you can, be successful. That was like the one road, to success. But it's pretty awesome now that there are so many different paths, for sure.
And I know that the local colleges are offering classes for, like, you can start early, like while you're still homeschooling, you can take a couple classes before you actually, apply for college.
Yes, I heard that last year. We were camping in Massachusetts, and the camping community is awesome. There's so many homeschoolers. They're very kind of homeschool oriented. And he had told me that one of his nieces graduated high school with an associate's degree. So she took that many classes that she was just obviously, I forget what he told me she was studying, but she was super motivated. So she took enough college classes to have an associate's. And that was her strategy, was instead of going to like a super expensive 4-year college, get the first 2 years of the associates while still in high school. And then she was just going to do the last 2 years at a nicer, bigger school.
Yeah. You know what? We're seeing that at the school that I'm at right now too, is that some of the older kids are going to the local junior college close to us. I'm not sure if they've actually enrolled in classes yet, but they've been taking field trips to like just check out the departments and check out just what they have to offer, and specifically chemistry for a certain student's interest. But I just see that blossoming eventually as the kids get older and stuff. That potentially unschoolers could even be advanced in academics if they start going to college. Like, yeah, they have the time. So
Yeah, I've heard that through I always want to, the Alliance for Self-Directed Education. I've heard that through them as well, that, children that are really passionate about studying a specific topic will, start studying at the local community colleges, and, whether it's online or in person, which I think is just so awesome, because it's like, some people believe that homeschoolers might be at a disadvantage or behind, and I'm like, no, for a child that's motivated and they can actually be ahead.
totally. You know what I was thinking earlier when we were chatting about like making schedules and figuring out like I guess it really is like new routines that work for your family, whether it's building up a routine or like slimming down a routine, is that for me, the feeling and the vibe that goes into those things is just experimentation and curiosity. Like nothing's really set. It's not like, oh no, like let's do that. Like, I don't know. There's like a certain seriousness that sometimes can come over me that I feel when I'm starting to like implement new things or take down new things. Like there's a certain fear, but I can't really place it, but it's there. And that is just so relieved, just reminding myself that this is just a game. Like I'm literally playing with, so we're going to meet at 3:30 and learn to braid hair or not. Like maybe, maybe something's going to come up and we're actually not going to do that. But, I don't know. That just feels so nice to have that vibe to it.
Yeah, I like that. That's what I think I love the most about the unschooling life for us, is that we do have these weekly things that, and I always check in, like, now that we've been gone for a couple months, and like, do you still like those play dates? Because I do. The park days, do you still like them? Do you still want to go? Yeah, I still do. Good. I still do too. So let's schedule those. We'll put those on the calendar. But again, if something comes up, we can always do something more. Please, something more fun comes in. There's no commitment. There's, that we can always change it. So I think depending on where the child is, I like how you're saying, like, the braiding hair, and I don't know what your son is into, but sometimes it just makes them feel really like special and heard and honored when you're like, well, because especially if they're not into, like, if they love soccer or karate, and you're doing that once or twice a week, and they've, if once they have a passion established, I think it's so much easier, because you're like, okay, this is what they have that, it's there, it's already set in stone. But if they don't have anything yet, maybe that, if you feel that the child might be craving it, that might be a good time to say, well, what would you like? Well, what is something that you are loving or enjoying, once a week, that you and I could do together, or maybe I can bring you to, or we can look at an activity. And if he's like, you know what, I just want to do more Roblox, then be like, okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm actually going to take a bubble bath, and you can do more, just so that they feel heard, and then they see that that's actually happening. I just feel like I can just see my daughter. She just feels so empowered. It's like, not only are you listening, you're listening to me, you're honoring me, and then our week is actually shifting, so I get to do more of what I want to do. And she's just so much more cooperative when it comes to, the household stuff, and it's much more like, I feel like it just gives us more balance in our relationship. And then I feel more honored too, because then I'm like, well, you're doing more Roblox, and I'm going to do more yoga. Yay. And it's a really nice relationship building. That's the way I feel, is it builds our relationship. It's like a win-win.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool to, as an example too, or as a lifestyle, as a like teaching kids life perspective or whatever through your example, is like, I really like the idea that I have intentions and I have goals, and I'm going to set them, but I'm also an extremely flexible person who can listen in the moment and can listen to what my heart's telling me or whatever. So I'm not so, like, dogmatic and ideological, stuck in the mind all the time, like, oh, we have this appointment at 3, we got to go. It's more like, you know what, I'm really feeling that a park trip is going to suit us better, or whatever it is. I don't know. I think that's really a valuable lifestyle. So
Yeah, and I'm also just thinking, the other way, that there are some non-negotiables, if we have a set appointment, or, if there's something we have to do. I mean, I just call everything paperwork or appointment. We do want to honor those commitments and do our best to make the deadlines. And, so I think it's a balance of, modeling responsibility for work and commitments, but then being flexible with the education time, the family time, the free time, having that flexibility, because you never know, something way funner might, she, like Angela's daughter, who wanted to braid, or my daughter, or we might have wanted to go to a park day, but then, something super, even more fun than that came up, and we can shift with and be flexible in real time.
I like that. That's such an internet term, in real life, IRL. That's funny.
Totally. All right, well, we've just got a few more minutes. Maybe we'll just kind of close out. I don't know if anyone hasn't, like, closing remarks or any announcements at all.
No, same old announcements. I do coaching. So if anyone would like to meet, I actually do buy donation calls still. I was thinking of canceling them, but I decided that they actually feel really good to me. So I still do buy donation calls. I did not cancel them. And if anyone ever wants to hop on the phone and chat, I am here. You can find me either on Facebook or at my website, angelaroseyoung.com.
Yay. The only announcement I have is I'm back and we'll be doing these weekly calls every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. Anyone and everyone is welcome to come jump and talk about whatever. Cats, my cat just walked in, kids, you know, self-directed education, somewhat related. Yeah, Alyssa, do you have any closing comments or anything that you wanted to say, or?
No, this was just the first time I've been able to join a call, so I was just glad I got to get on.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you could make it. Feel free to come on every week or whenever you want. You know, you can come and join the conversation, or anyone really, you know, you can come be active, join the conversation, or you can just stay off camera and just kind of listen and see what comes up.
Yay, thank you. It was good to speak to you. Well, we're not really face to face, but virtually face to face. Good to see your face off the Facebook. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Yes, I love meeting people. So yeah, same time, same place next week. I'm going to post more of those events, and I'll put the link in, and we can keep talking about this and building community, which is fun. All right.
Yay.
Well, we will say goodbye for tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, thank you. Nice chatting with both of you.